The United States is facing profound challenges rooted in the dynamics of late-stage capitalism. This stage, often marked by unregulated market forces, has resulted in unprecedented wealth concentration, social inequality, and the weakening of the social fabric. With capital primarily in the hands of a wealthy elite, socioeconomic divides deepen, reducing upward mobility and political representation for the broader population. In contrast, Scandinavian countries offer examples of how balanced economic models with strong social safety nets can promote both economic success and social cohesion. Historical and contemporary examples reveal the significant risks posed by unregulated capitalism and provide valuable lessons for mitigating these risks through comprehensive social policies. The concentration of wealth and erosion of social stability. In today's US, wealth inequality has reached extreme levels, rivaling those of the early 20th century during the Gilded Age. Data from the Federal Reserve and research by economists like Emmanuel Saez and Gabriel Zucman indicate that the top 1% of Americans control about 32% of the nation's wealth, while the bottom 50% hold just 2%. This disparity exacerbates social divisions, making it increasingly difficult for lower and middle-class individuals to achieve financial security or advance economically. It also undermines the democratic system. With such concentrated wealth, the political influence of the affluent elite is disproportionately amplified, leading to policies that favor the interests of corporations and wealthy individuals over the needs of the broader population. A significant consequence of this concentration of wealth is the reduction in social mobility, often referred to as the American dream. Studies from the Pew Research Center show that economic mobility in the US is among the lowest of advanced economies, with children from low-income families having only a 7.5% chance of reaching the top income quintile. This lack of upward mobility breaks down the notion of a meritocratic society, where hard work and talent should ideally lead to success. Instead, it creates a sense of disenfranchisement, alienating large portions of the population and leading to social instability and tension, as evidenced by recent protests and movements calling for economic justice and reform. Political influence and the threat to democratic values. The excessive concentration of wealth also poses a direct threat to democratic values, as wealth increasingly translates into political power. Political donations, lobbying efforts, and the ability to fund campaigns mean that wealthy individuals and corporations have far greater influence over policymakers than average citizens. Research by political scientists, Martin Gilens and Benjamin Page, has demonstrated that policy decisions in the US are more likely to reflect the preferences of economic elites and interest groups rather than those of average citizens. This dynamic creates a feedback loop in which policies favor the wealthy, who in turn have more resources to influence future policy decisions, leading to a system that increasingly serves the interests of the few over the many. The Citizens United ruling in 2010 further cemented this trend by allowing unlimited corporate spending on political campaigns, amplifying the power of money in politics. The results of this ruling are apparent in areas like tax policy, where tax cuts disproportionately benefit the wealthy, and healthcare, where powerful pharmaceutical companies have stymied efforts to regulate drug prices. These policies exacerbate economic disparities and fuel public mistrust in government, eroding the democratic principles upon which the United States was founded. The Scandinavian model, a balanced approach to capitalism. In contrast, Scandinavian countries like Sweden, Norway, and Denmark offer models of capitalism that balance economic growth with social welfare and equity. These nations have achieved robust economic success while maintaining relatively low levels of income inequality and high standards of living. For example, Norway, with a GDP per capita of approximately $89,000, has consistently ranked among the world's happiest and most equitable countries. Key to this success is the emphasis on social welfare systems that provide universal health care, free or subsidized education, and generous unemployment benefits. Such policies enable citizens to enjoy a high quality of life and ensure that economic gains are shared across the population. Additionally, Scandinavian countries prioritize progressive taxation, with the wealthy contributing a larger share of their income to support social programs. Denmark, for example, allocates nearly 28% of its GDP to social services, compared to the OECD average of 20%. This approach reduces income inequality, enhances social cohesion, and provides a safety net for those in need. Furthermore, Scandinavian countries have implemented labour policies that protect workers' rights and ensure fair wages. These policies foster a sense of security and stability that contributes to high levels of trust and social capital, further enhancing the social fabric. Historical consequences of unchecked capitalism. History provides cautionary lessons on the dangers of unchecked capitalism. The Gilded Age in the US, late 19th to early 20th century, is a notable example of a period marked by minimal government intervention in the economy. During this time, monopolistic practices flourished. Wealth was concentrated among a handful of industrial magnates, and labour conditions deteriorated. Worker exploitation was rampant, with long hours, low wages, and unsafe working conditions. The vast wealth disparity led to social tensions, culminating in labour strikes, protests, and ultimately the progressive reforms of the early 20th century, such as antitrust laws, labour rights, and income taxes. Another historic example of the dangers of unregulated capitalism is the Great Depression. The financial crash of 1929, precipitated by speculative practices and a lack of regulatory oversight, led to widespread unemployment and poverty. This economic collapse highlighted the need for government intervention in the economy, prompting the introduction of the New Deal under President Franklin D. Roosevelt. The New Deal implemented Social Security, unemployment insurance, and financial regulations that helped to stabilize the economy and reduce inequality. These historical events demonstrate that unchecked capitalism can lead to social and economic collapse, necessitating government intervention to protect the broader population and ensure stability. Current implications and the path forward. The US faces a critical juncture in determining how to address the challenges posed by late-stage capitalism. Without intervention, the growing wealth gap, declining social mobility, and erosion of democratic values may lead to intensified social unrest and economic instability. Scandinavian countries offer valuable insights into creating a balanced economic system that prioritizes both growth and equity. While the US has a different cultural and economic context, elements of the Scandinavian model, such as progressive taxation, universal healthcare, and stronger social safety nets, could be adapted to address America's unique challenges. Additionally, addressing wealth inequality and reducing the influence of money in politics are essential to preserving democratic values and ensuring that government policies represent the interests of all citizens. This might include campaign finance reform, stricter lobbying regulations, and efforts to promote economic policies that benefit a broader segment of the population. Investing in education, healthcare, and affordable housing could also promote greater social mobility and reduce disparities. The need for a new approach, unchecked capitalism, as seen in the US today, has led to an unsustainable concentration of wealth and power, diminishing the social cohesion and democratic principles upon which the country was built. Learning from the historical consequences of unregulated capitalism and considering the successes of Scandinavian models, the US has the opportunity to adopt policies that promote economic equity, social welfare, and political fairness. Addressing these challenges is essential to building a more just, inclusive, and stable society for future generations.